played a lot of the Mortal Kombat 11 beta, and it was pretty fun. I've been a Mortal Kombat fan from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo through the 3D era and into today. And I really like the direction they're taking Mortal Kombat into with this game. A lot of people tell you it's very neutral based footsie game, and for the most part that's true, but there's still crazy mix up potential and rush down potential in certain characters. I played all 5 characters that were available, and of course that included Jade, Cabal, Baraka, Scorpion, and Scarlet. And Scarlet, I think, was probably the best out of the bunch. She was good from anywhere on the screen. If she could zone out like a Cabal or a Baraka, she was great at it because she had a lot of options. Even like the blood tentacle thing got through Jade's invincibility on teleport. And up close, she was kind of a beast too, because she had forward 2-1, which was a nice low ending string. She had 2-1-2, which was a meterless launcher for combos. She had, I think it was back 1-2, which had pretty damaging crushing blow. Scarlet's moves also had pretty good reach, like when she pulled out the scythe or the blood whip, like for her sweep. I think she had the longest distance sweep in the game. What else about Scarlet? One thing I didn't like I liked the earlier design of her with the shorter hair. I know that's kind of a weird nitpick, but like the way her hair flows, it just doesn't look right to me. Other than that, Scarlet was a blast to play, and if anything, she felt a little bit overpowered. If I had to pick like the character that was the second best after Scarlet, I'd probably say Cabal. Cabal had a lot of good mix-up potential, and he had a lot of good ways to get combos and convert random hits. He had good mix-ups too. He was a pretty good all-around character, losing maybe a little bit to zoning, but even still he was effective from across the screen. Nomad Dash stuns your opponent, allows you to set up a combo for no meter, which is super good considering Scorpion's Spear and I'm guessing Sub-Zero's Ice Ball don't do that anymore. Forward 224 is a great string because it hits overhead. Crushing Blow does a lot of damage, and you can cancel it into low buzzsaw for a 50-50. He had this air dash thing that he could do, and you could create some interesting situations off of that. I didn't use it. I ran into it a couple times online. It was just kind of neat. Sort of like Kage's V-Trigger 1 and SF5. With the hook swords, Cabal also had pretty decent reach on a lot of his strings, but not as good as, say, Scarlet or Jade. After Cabal, I'd say Scorpion was the third best because he had some interesting setups off of his Misery Blade. Misery Blade is it's a move that you could only give Scorpion in a custom variation, so I'm not sure if it'll be tournament viable, because I've heard during the tournaments you can only use the 3 preloaded variations. Like, I don't know how they would do it, like if they let you set up your custom variation ahead of time before the event started. It seems like a big headache, so I don't think we're going to see Misery Blade in tournament, but Misery Blade is probably the only thing that makes Scorpion good. And that's because it's the only thing he can do that's safe, and it's the only thing that gives him like a hard to react to mix-up potential. Otherwise, Scorpion's sort of a weak character. I might be a little biased putting Scorpion at third best because he's always been my favorite character. He's been a blast to play in all the games he's been in, and MK11 is no different, but he feels weaker in this game. Like I mentioned before, his spear doesn't give you the free hit that it used to. It's not as good in combos unless you meter burn it. His teleport is good for getting around some of the zoning and pokes, but if they block it, you're just as fucked as if somebody blocks your teleport in any other Mortal Kombat game. I feel like both Cabal and Scarlet definitely win the matchup against Scorpion at the highest level. I am not the highest level. I'm pretty much a scrub, but I feel like Scorpion's still probably the third best because of Misery Blade. Like if it was an actual tournament, I would probably say Jade would be third best. I didn't play as much Jade as I did other characters in the game because I had a hard time wrapping my head around Jade. Like I didn't really dive deep into the frame data or anything, but Jade felt more like a sort of keep away character. Like she had really long reaching normals with her staff, of course. She had the glaives that she could throw, but up close there wasn't really a lot she could do. I felt like I'm the kind of guy that likes to get in and do damage most of the time, and I didn't feel like Jade had those tools. So I did play her for a few matches. She just wasn't the kind of character I like to play. So I guess that's why I'm going to put her at number 4, arguably third, given my bias towards Scorpion. And with the asterisk of the Misery Blade thing, I'd say Jade was probably the fourth best. Baraka felt like the weakest. I felt like the only thing he had going for him really was down 4 into, the thing where he shot the hedgehog spikes out of his back. His other strings just didn't seem great. He didn't have a lot of mix-up potential, I thought. He felt like the weakest of the characters, but simultaneously like the simplest to play. He's sort of the Shoto, or he was the Shoto of the beta, because he has, he has his Blade Spark, which is his projectile. He's got like a down 2 or like maybe some other kind of variation move for like an anti-air. But like with the blade, I think his down 2 actually reaches pretty far up. And depending on what you give him, like he gets the blade charge or some other move that moves him forward. Maybe his back 2 is kind of like what a Tatsu might do in a Street Fighter scenario. Being as such, I didn't think Baraka was great. Like I really like Baraka. He's basically a monster with swords for arms and it's metal as fuck, but I didn't think that his character was very, I guess, optimal, like, to play. I did have a lot of fun playing Baraka, and I love his fatality where he eats the brain, but I didn't feel like he was a strong character, technically speaking. Again, I'm a total scrub, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I felt like playing Baraka was a bit of an uphill battle against other characters. Like, maybe he fought basically even with Scorpion, like if Scorpion didn't have Misery Blade. Now that I've spoken about the characters that were available in the beta, I'd like to talk about some of the systems that were present in the game, because this was the first time I got my hands on it. I kind of wish there was a training mode, because a lot of this stuff I would have really liked to have tried out in a context where I wasn't in a match. But, beggars can't be choosers, and you get what you get. So the defensive options I felt were a little strange. I always had, like, my defense meter stayed full. I guess that's another thing I should talk about. Is it's weird that there are two different meters, one for offense, one for defense. I feel like in most fighting games, like a big part of the game is choosing how to use your extra resources in terms of offense and defense, and Mortal Kombat kind of does that for you in some ways. Your defensive meter can be used for armored wake-ups and falling out of juggle combos, as far as I know. There might be other stuff that I'm not mentioning, but again, there wasn't a training mode for me to test anything out in, and there wasn't a tutorial, so I just kind of went with what I saw other people do, and I did some quick Google searches to try and figure out what I could do with it, and I didn't really have a lot of time to put it into practice, so the defensive meter was kind of a nebulous thing for me. The offense meter, of course, was mainly used, like in my case at least, for enhanced special moves to extend combos. But I used bar meter to cancel out of certain special moves like Scorpion's teleport or Cabal's nomad dash, but it isn't as good as it was in other games. I tried it out with Cabal's nomad dash, and it was nowhere near as good as it was in Mortal Kombat 9, where he could basically just apply pressure forever, canceling the nomad dash. Fatal blows are kind of a new thing. They basically replace X-rays, and I feel like in the other games, the animations are going to get tired before long. Like, you're going to get sick of seeing fatal blows every round. Every match. It is kind of an interesting dynamic, though, when you're down close to the end of the round and suddenly your opponent has an extra resource to help them get out of trouble, or you have that resource to get out of trouble. In some matches, I almost wanted to bait people into landing their fatal blow against me while I had the life leads. They wouldn't have it like in the next round. It opens up some interesting set play transactions. The thing that I hated the most about the beta, probably, it's nothing to do with gameplay mechanics or anything about the characters or anything, was the sheer amount of people I ran into during my matches that were on Wi-Fi. Like, the net play in this game is pretty solid, especially for an NRS game, but it doesn't matter when every other guy you run into is using Wi-Fi. Public service announcement: if you play fighting games, go get your Ethernet cable, plug it into your console or your computer or whatever. It's going to be a lot better for the person on the other end. And I realize a lot of more casual fighting game fans are probably going to be checking out Mortal Kombat 11 when it comes out on April 23rd. But please, for the love of Christ, get your Ethernet cord. All my ranting and raving about the mechanics of the game and the Wi-Fi I ran into aside, it's shaping up to be a lot of fun. I really like the new direction they're taking Mortal Kombat into. I really can't wait to get my hands on all the other characters when the game actually comes out. So that's my thoughts on Mortal Kombat 11. Thank you for listening.
Finish him.